information and news you need. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Adams Wealth Advisors. New data is showing that by the time the Omicron variant was first making its way through Utah in early January, Utah was undercounting hospitalizations of patients. On Thursday, the state reported a new record for the number of hospitalized COVID-19 patients in a 24-hour period. 843, along with an announcement that they had been undercounting such patients for weeks. The error was caused when the Utah Healthcare Resource Management System transitioned to a new reporting system last October, according to the state's report. The error has been fixed and is partially responsible for today's increase in the number of people currently hospitalized. The Utah Department of Health Thursday report includes 7,033 new positive cases of coronavirus, 485 of those in northern Utah. Since the pandemic began, there have been 869,085 positive cases statewide. Since Wednesday, 6 more Utahns died of COVID-19, and from the start of the pandemic, the lives of 4,097 Utahns have been lost to the virus. That includes 204 from Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, patchy fog after midnight, low 0 to 5 above. Partly cloudy in the morning, then clearing on Friday. Patchy morning fog, high in the upper 20s. Hazy sunshine through the day Saturday, high around 30. It's been to 24. Right now it's 22 at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. Expecting to purchase a lot of inventory direct from manufacturers at the upcoming furniture market in Las Vegas. In anticipation, they have aggressive discounts during the January clearance. It's just another reason you'll always find a better buy at U&I. U&I Furniture, downtown Logan, 28 West, 100 North.
Thank you for voting Adams Wealth Advisors the gold winner for Best Financial Planner in the Best of Northern Utah competition. Understanding your family, jobs, and goals is how Adams Wealth Advisors will continue to earn your trust.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit adamswealthadvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today. Please see adamswealthadvisors.com for more information on these recent awards.
KVNU News Time is 5:08. A 31-year-old Logan man has been sentenced to 60 days in jail for downloading child pornography 3 years ago. Zachary Stalker was ordered to report to the Cache County Jail by February 12th. Stalker was sentenced during a virtual hearing in 1st District Court Wednesday morning. He previously had pleaded guilty to 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a child, a second-degree felony. In February 2019, agents with the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force began investigating Stalker after they traced images of child pornography to his Island neighborhood apartment. A search warrant was served to his residence where several electronic devices were seized. Stalker was arrested and booked into the Cache County Jail at the time. He was later released after posting $70,000 bail. During a Wednesday sentencing, defense attorney Ray Maloof explained that his client had suffered from trauma experienced during a tour of duty in Afghanistan. He had turned to alcohol and later an addiction to child pornography to treat his PTSD. Stalker asked for mercy, telling the court that being arrested had saved his life. He explained how he was now volunteering at the Cache Valley Veterans Association, helping others with PTSD. Cache County Deputy Attorney Andrew Crane, who is also a veteran, said he appreciated Stalker's military service, but said that should not be an excuse for breaking the law. He noted that many veterans return home with trauma and do not turn to child pornography. He asked the court to sentence Stalker to 4 months in jail. Judge Brian Cannell noted that the children victimized by pornography had also suffered immense trauma and PTSD that he could not ignore. In addition to the 2 months in jail, Judge Cannell sentenced Stalker to be placed on the sex offender registry and have no unsupervised access to the Internet. KVNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
At Wheatland Seed, we've supplied area farmers premium seed products for over 44 years. With higher fertilizer prices and drought conditions, 2022 will be challenging. To lower your input costs during Wheatland's preseason sale, all oats, barley, cover crops, and alfalfa will be priced below last year's prices. For details, call us today or visit our website at wheatlandseed.com. That's wheatlandseed.com.
UNI Furniture is excited to be going back to the furniture market in Las Vegas. After taking the last couple of years off, the furniture market is back on, and UNI is expecting to buy lots of inventory direct from the manufacturers. So in anticipation, UNI has gotten aggressive with their in-store discounts during their January clearance. Sofas, loves, chairs, sectionals, dining room, bedroom, and mattresses are all on sale. This January clearance features discounts on all home decor and accents too. It all adds up to just another reason there's always a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
I lived alone and was having problems with my landlord. He's a creep. One night I'm watching TV and I hear my landlord letting himself in. Hey, get out. You can't keep coming in.
I'm just here to fix your fridge and spend some time together.
Get out. I'm reporting you.
Don't make a federal case of it.
A federal case? Sexual harassment in housing is against federal law. If you are harassed, file a complaint with HUD. Go to HUD.gov/fair housing. If you fear for your safety, call 911. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, Hour 2 of today's show. It is January 27th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well, and we are kicking off our second hour with a special guest. I love shows like this, by the way, because I don't really have to do anything other than sit here and learn and discuss interesting things. Joining us right now for Hour 2, we have with us North Logan Mayor Lyndsay Peterson, and a pleasure to have you in the studio. I'm glad you're able to do this. We haven't been able to focus on North Logan as much as we've wanted to over the last couple of years because, I mean, honestly, things in North Logan were pretty hectic there for a while, but a lot going on, and so we missed a lot of cool things. So it's great to have you back here in the studio. It's official now. You're officially in office. How many weeks at this point?
I think we're going on 3.
This is the third week?
Or 3 years, something. I'm not sure.
Ready to take it back yet?
No. It's been really, really busy.
I know some of the staff there at North Logan City, so if you wanted to step aside, we would understand. I'm kidding. No, this is great. One of my favorite things about North Logan City, and I'm sure you have a long list of things that you'd like to get to today, so this is all the time I'll take with my take, but North Logan City, I think, more than any other city I can think of here in Cache Valley right now, has put a real focus on economic development. And I think it's been a couple of years now, and I think you're really starting to see that come full circle. Mm-hmm. It's almost amazing to drive through there and see how things... Well, actually, we should talk about that. It is actually amazing to drive through there. And it wasn't always.
Yeah,
road-wise.
Yeah, I think we've made some really great strides. We have some goals in that category too. I think we can always improve, but yeah, it's definitely something that's at the forefront of my goals as mayor. That was
the major theme of your campaign for mayor last fall was that, right? You said we've got to start, really planning. Not just a year in advance, not even just 5 years in advance, but 10. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? As you step into the office, as you really get to work here. Traditionally, these things are slow processes, right? Mm-hmm. Is that a bit frustrating? Are there things that you'd like to have just happening right now already that are going to take a few months, or is it more of a let's keep doing what we're doing, but add some things.
Oh, well, definitely. I think that it's one of those areas that you could devote 100% of your time to it and still have it be insufficient. So, those are, I think economic development generally is kind of a relationship-based game. And so trying to continue those relationships that we have with the businesses currently there, trying to get more businesses to come to North Logan, especially in the midst of a transition, is always going to be a challenge. But
Sure.
it is a real priority of the city right now, just making sure that we bring in jobs, we bring in access to services and goods. It benefits everyone to have those businesses close. Sure.
And that's, I don't know if this is still the phrase being used, but I remember when we'd speak with the economic development team in years past, the phrase that would come up a lot is business corridor. Because North Logan does sit in this very unique spot that I think most people in the valley, as a unintentional disservice to North Logan, think of as just Logan. It's just that northern part of Main Street. But in North Logan, that's a very unique aspect of the city, right? This is a very rural and urban city. A really stark contrast.
Yeah, and even just that intersection, 2500 North and Main Street is the second busiest intersection in our entire valley. And
the businesses have just grown in that area.
Yeah, and I think there's opportunity there. I think that, we're kind of the gateway to Logan, right? Everyone from the north travels through North Logan. I think we've seen a lot of really great businesses. We've loved having Cow Ranch there. We've been highlighting Sweeto Burrito this month as a city. We love Sweeto Burrito. There just have been some really great businesses that have come in and by all accounts, it seems like they're happy in North Logan. Their sales have gone up since moving to North Logan. So I think it ends up being a mutually beneficial relationship with those businesses. And that's something that's a goal of mine as well, to make sure we're taking care of those businesses that are within our city limits for sure.
Is it when you speak with them and when you talked with them through the campaigns, what are there is there a typical list of concerns or things they're worried about when they think 5-10 years down the road?
As far as them coming to North Logan
or being in North Logan, or I guess a better way to put it, when I speak with businesses here on the show, when I speak with elected leaders here on the show, everyone seems to be more thinking the concerns are more valley-wide. Or does that make sense? Growth. Driving places. Where are we all going to? It rarely comes down to a specific thing within a given city.
Right.
Is that you see that holding up with North Logan as well?
Yeah. I mean, there's just always going to be everything. When you talk about my campaign, everything really just surrounds growth in our city.
Sure.
And that's a dual-edged sword, because you want to grow as a city, and you want people to be able to find places to live within your city. But it does increase other problems that you have, and you have to make sure that you have the infrastructure to support it. I haven't heard a consistent report from businesses that I've spoken with, but definitely I think it's on everyone's mind.
All can be boiled down to growth, basically, right?
Yes.
That's the legislative session underway, and they're talking about that a lot, and their decisions are going to impact cities. Do you have, are there any bills being discussed this legislative session that North Logan's keeping a close eye on?
Yeah, I think there are several. We're really trying to be a priority in the water projects that are on the docket right now. North Logan we have some really severe water storage and water sourcing needs right now that's what we're really focusing on right now. But we have our eye on a few bills that are currently pending right now.
And the legislature is going to have quite a bit when it comes to infrastructure money from the federal bill that was passed. So I think most people are glad to hear that their city's paying attention and making sure to get on that list so it doesn't all go to Provo like has happened in the past.
Right. Yeah, and there's no shortage of people with their hands out, but we're trying to be among the first in line on those, because it really is a significant need in our city.
Yeah. Development in general, especially with the growth as fast as it is. For listeners out there, if you have a question or a comment, 753-5868, Our guest here in the studio again is North Logan City Mayor Lyndsay Peterson, and she's with us through the hour. You can also find out more about what we've just been discussing here in North Logan City's long-term planning and some of the priorities that have been set for the city under this new administration at the city website. I've linked to that on our Facebook page, northlogancity.org. Also, while you're there, check out the library. It's always cool to see what they've got going on there, and we'll probably talk about that this hour as well. Lyndsay Peterson, Mayor of North Logan City, here in the studio with us this hour. We'll be back right after this.
When the bills from your accident pile up, it's time for you to consider professional legal counsel. Get the Bear, Berenson and Caldwell.
My dad was in a car accident. He was rear-ended by a work truck. He sustained some pretty bad injuries. What we didn't know at the time was that he also had sustained a traumatic brain injury, and it really affected his personality. You know, if he had just had an MRI, if he'd had someone pushing him to get checked out, make him feel confident that he wasn't going to end up going bankrupt with medical debt.
Visit BerensonLaw.com to instantly connect and receive a free case review of your injury. BerensonLaw.com.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News, tracking the latest developments in Eastern Europe as the U.S. pays attention to Russia's ongoing intimidation of Ukraine. Also, residents on the Atlantic coast keeping an eye on a weekend nor'easter, plus the cabinet secretary accused of being absent, how Americans got addicted to working so long, and former NFL player Mike Golick on the overtime rule. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
New federal guidelines have nearly doubled the number of Americans eligible for lung cancer screening. Insurance companies are required to cover these tests for those ages 50 to 80 who currently smoke or used to smoke. Along with new treatments, lung cancer screening saves lives. If you are 50 to 80 years old and smoke or used to smoke, talk to your doctor about lung cancer screening. For more information and to find a screening center near you, visit the National Lung Cancer Roundtable at nlcrt.org.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Joined in the studio by North Logan City Mayor Lyndsay Peterson, and it's a pleasure to have her in the studio with us. If you'd like to ask a question or comment, the phone lines are always open here, 753-5868. There's no shortage of items to talk about when it comes to North Logan, and you know we joked about this a bit in the first segment there, but everything in one way or another comes back down to growth, to the questions we all have right now. Where's everyone going to live? How are we going to drive and get around? Will that even be possible without a 40-minute commute? But then you mentioned water. We also have air quality issues, which no individual city can really. North Logan can't save the rest of the valley or the rest of the state on that. But these are big, pressing issues, and every single one of them comes with a pretty significant price tag attached. So that kind of takes us back to drawing businesses in and revenue and all of that. And I remember you talked about that a little bit with us as a candidate as well, saying that your decision to run, and you were successful, and now here you are as mayor. You liked a lot of what the city had been doing to draw businesses in, but you felt that it could be a bit more planned. Is that something that? How's the implementation of that going?
Oh, I think it's going well. I mean, just that first month of taking over the reins as mayor has been a fire hose of information. Sure. And
I can't imagine.
Just prioritization of all of that. But we don't have a full-time economic development person in our city. So that's a challenge. And you're right. It really kind of a lot of times comes down to money. What Sure. can we afford as a city? Can we afford not to devote more resources to that? those are just some decisions that we have coming up, and we have a really great city council, and I look forward to working with them in kind of aligning our priorities and seeing, where they want to allocate our limited city resources. I mean, I think that's going to always be the name of the game with city leadership.
When you're dealing with, a limited bucket of funds, that makes how you spend it even more important, right? If a bunch of money is spent on something that's with the goal of a 5 to 10 year improvement, and then it doesn't work, there's not a second bucket to go back to, right? That's so unique to, I think, every city in Cache Valley right now. The challenge of meeting these challenges, and yet these are not Salt Lake cities or Provos with huge budgets. So how do you get creative about something like economic development?
Well, I think that really one thing that I've noticed within North Logan City is that we really underutilize social media. We underutilize. I think we can do better in how we communicate with our citizens, and I think we underutilize the citizens themselves in terms of what they'd like to see, if they have ideas about who we can bring in that would serve our community well. So those are just some of the areas that I think that we can improve on. Also, I think just setting up regular times, that's something that we're planning right now, to have this planning commission and this city council sit down and just really hammer out what is our long-term plan here. And I know that's been done in the past, but I look forward to revisiting that and really being deliberate. We're not a homogenous group. Our new city council and planning commission, there are a lot of different opinions, and I love that. My tolerance for conflict is pretty high because it's how I was raised. I have 4 lawyers in my family. And so, I love that. I love coming together and just kind of hashing out, what will be our top priority, because inevitably we're going to have to focus on 1 or 2 things that are important to us, and we're going to have to neglect some things. That's just the nature of, again, city government.
That would be, it's interesting along the same lines. It almost seems for cities these days, it's a bit of a marketing and branding game of sorts too. Like you're selling a product, but what you're selling is, hey, our city's great. You should live here. You should establish your business here. If you're here already, you should stay. How do you brand North Logan? Or market North Logan to businesses you want to entice in? Again, when you can't say, hey, here's a huge, gigantic tax cut. That's usually what large cities do, right?
Right. Well, I think a really big part of that for us in terms of branding has been deciding to build a new city center. That's going to be a big deal, in my opinion, just to have a place where people can come and say, okay, this is North Logan. Right now, it's a conference room that's shared by every single person who works in the city. It's in a pretty small room. I don't know if I can overstate how significant that will be in making a place where we go for our city offices, our library, and a new community center, and then the police station will be proximate to that as well. I think that goes a long way to marketing North Logan. I think we are forward thinking. I think we are diverse. I think that we just have so much talent within our city. So it's really just about making sure that people see that. It's not about necessarily cultivating those great qualities. It's a matter of just expressing them to people, making sure that they know when they come in that they're dealing with some really sophisticated, talented people.
Talking again with Mayor of North Logan City, Lyndsay Peterson. If you have a comment or a question, 753-5868. We did get a great question from a listener here. I'll elaborate on it a bit, just to stir the pot. No, the question is, I would express it this way. Has there been anything that absolutely surprised you? As you stepped into the role and you began the work of mayor here at North Logan City, has there been anything that just you thought, oh, wow, I did not see that coming, or I was not prepared for that at all?
Well, a few of my board appointments that came by virtue of just being elected mayor, yes. As far as particular issues, not really. I think the sheer number of meetings that I've been involved in was pretty surprising. I'm anticipating.
A lot, huh?
Yeah, it's been a really busy time. But one thing that I am surprised about is how excited I feel about it. I expected, just in the anticipation of taking over, I was a little bit nervous about that. And I've been surprised at how fun it is, how exciting that is, how passionately I feel about it. So actually it's been a pleasant surprise.
That's very cool. This is, North Logan has always, to me, come across as a very active city as well. And I mean, this is no, diss on any other city in the valley, but if you go to the calendar at northlogancity.org, it's always very populated. There's always something going on. Is that intentional? Is that something that you feel, the city sets out to do to make sure there's always an activity of some kind? Or is it something key to where you're located, the populace? I've always been curious.
I think it's a combination of a lot of factors. I think it is kind of just our city's culture, but I think we've had just some really great recreation directors. Parks and Rec both are just really strong departments in our city, and then library. We're really close to Green Canyon, and I think they just do a really great job. And then on top of that, we have some amazing facilities at our disposal. We have a ton of parkland. We have the RSL building that's in our city, the ice arena. So, we have a lot of resources, and then we have really great city leaders. And then we just have a population that I think lends itself to being really active.
That is very cool. This is... This is hilarious. This is from a listener. And Mayor, I am on board with this. I don't live in North Logan. I live at the south end of the valley. I would love to have this in my city. Listener says one of their absolute favorite things the city does with their social media and online is you can go to the calendar and see which weeks of garbage collection are recycling weeks. We have to go back to the printed newsletter where I live. And if you lose that, you're just guessing. But little things like that really matter to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? That's actually something that I've kind of been a thorn in the side on some of our social media interns to say, you know what, that helps so much just to have a Facebook post because we know where to go. And I guess that's a step above having to find a physical piece of paper. But just to have something that tells you, I've witnessed that in my own neighborhood where one person is off and they put out the recycling and everyone else falls for it.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of that.
And maybe that's something that I could try just to see who follows me.
That's honestly, I mean, it really, to me, that's always what's fascinating about city government and why I wish people got more engaged in city government, the citizens, but little things like that they seem, as we've talked about here, it might, be easy to say, oh, that, it's just a trivial little thing. But when you talk about, something like that every day in every person's life, that really adds up. And to have the city supplying information, I often think it's taken for granted how much time people used to spend, hopefully not so much anymore, paying a bill to the city. And many cities now, especially North Logan, have made that 30 seconds on a website, but you can still come in person if you choose. And those little things really are big improvements to quality of life. So I like the idea of using social media. Another comment from a listener here that's a great observation, not so much of a question. Listener says, I've always felt like North Logan City tells a story. North Logan City talks about itself as a city as if there's a story to tell. We're not just here, but we're here and we're doing things. That's very well expressed. That. I like that a lot. Thank you.
And it kind of speaks to our origins as well. I mean, there is a story there.
It is, the history, if you haven't read it. In fact, that's on the city website. I'll link to that on our Facebook page as well. NorthLoganCity.org, by the way, the website for the city. And our guest here in the studio again, North Logan City Mayor Lyndsay Peterson. If you have a comment or a question, you're welcome to join us. 753-5868. You can message them in, as others are doing here, via the kvnuftp@gmail.com email address or chat line. I guess we'll call it. 753-5868, the phone line. And we'll be back right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:34, and the news is brought to you by Roof Rescue. An event on February 2nd that the recently revived Cache Valley chapter of the Utah League of Women Voters will be hosting will include two special guests. Political science professor and former North Logan Mayor Damon Cann and former Logan City Council candidate Keegan Garrity will both make presentations. On KVNU's For the People program on Wednesday, Garrity told us what people can expect at the event that will include a Q&A.
If you think it's expensive to hire a professional,
I'll be speaking, and they've asked me to talk about proportional representation in Logan. So what that means basically is making sure everyone has an equal voice, and specifically on the Logan City Council and the voting systems that we use to elect council members. So for those not familiar, Logan uses an at-large voting system, which means people run from anywhere in the city, and the top vote getters are the ones who get elected.
In 2020, Garrity represented the Woodruff neighborhood on Logan City's ad hoc voter district subcommittee. The citizen panel had recommended that the city move to by-district voting for its municipal council. The meeting will take place at the First Presbyterian Church in Logan, and it runs from 6 to 7:30 p.m. This will be a hybrid Zoom meeting. If unable to attend in person, email debbie.evans@aggiemail.usu.edu. If you attend in person, they're asking that you please wear a mask. All are welcome, whether Logan residents or not. A search and rescue mission was underway Wednesday night for a hiker who was stuck near Bountiful Peak. According to the Davis County Sheriff's Office, a 32-year-old man needed assistance coming off the mountain. The man reportedly called into dispatch on his own, and search and rescue crews are on their way to help him. With the help of the Department of Public Safety helicopter, the man was able to get off the mountain, and there were no reports of injuries. And the Salt Lake City Police Department is investigating a reported sexual assault that was alleged to have taken place during a Wine Wednesday party at a University of Utah frat house in September of last year. On Wednesday, a student reported the sexual assault to the university's Office of Equal Opportunity and Affirmative Action 4 months after the alleged assault took place. KUTV reports that in a safety notification issued by the university, the victim reported attending a Wine Wednesday party at the Kappa Sigma fraternity house in the early morning hours of September 22nd. The victim reported that wine was provided by the fraternity and that they were sexually assaulted while in the dance floor room of the fraternity. The victim ultimately left the house with friends, according to investigators. KVNU News Time is 5:37.
if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, just wait until you hire an amateur.
Why the heck is the roof leaking? Larry, you said you got it fixed.
I thought it was fixed, Donna. Everything was fine until it started raining.
Larry, that's the point of fixing the roof, is so we can actually live here when it's stormy outside.
This is David with Roof Rescue. Our experienced roofing team is tried and true and will fix your roof guaranteed. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, patchy fog after midnight, low 0 to 5 above, and then partly cloudy in the morning, then clearing, patchy morning fog, high in the upper 20s. It's been to 24 this afternoon. Our morning low is 4. We have yellow air conditions from the air.utah.gov site. And the weather brought to you by Berenson Caldwell. If you've been in an accident, contact Berenson Caldwell for professional legal advice. Visit berensonlaw.com to instantly connect and receive a free case review of your injury. berensonlaw.com. Right now, 20 degrees. KVNU News Time is 5:39. For more details on these and other stories, visit cachevalleydaily.com.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
It's USU hockey game time at the Eccles Ice Center, 7 o'clock sharp tonight. Colorado State arrives in town to invade Aggie home ice. Make sure they know this is the Aggie's house. And you know what? You can avoid the lines. Get your tickets early at usu.edu/hockey. That's usu.edu/hockey. And day of at the Eccles Ice Center. USU hockey takes on Colorado State tonight, 7 p.m. Do you have your tickets?
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Joined in studio by a very special guest. Again, North Logan City Mayor Lyndsay Peterson with us this whole hour. If you'd like to join us, 753-5868. And Mayor, actually, I try not to do this on air. We usually do this during the breaks, but we got talking and I forgot. But I assume you can stay the full hour. I didn't ask when you sat down. If you have to go, just give me a signal.
We'll see how the
okay.
next 20 minutes go.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll get into the tough stuff now. No, it's interesting because you're coming into North Logan City at a time when there are a lot of challenges, but you're not coming in with a mandate to solve some gigantic issues and scandals that existed before. But it has been kind of a hectic time for the city the last few years in leadership. No fault of any one individual, but now, so an election has occurred, leadership has been elected, and now you can just sort of get running on all of this, and you have a few years to do it. Is there, as you move into this first year, is there a first 100 days? Is there a first year? Things that you'd like to be able to say this time in 2023, we got that done?
It's been surprising to me how quickly we've just fallen into some of those goals. A main one for me has been the communication with our citizens. And I think even just in these first 3 weeks, we've improved markedly in that front. We want our citizens to not be blindsided by any public hearing. We want them to come. We're not trying to secretly pass any ordinances or discuss any developments without citizen input. I think we've just, that transparency has been a big goal of mine. Another thing that has just been at the forefront just because of timing has been that city center. We're
Sure.
meeting once a week, and really that's been a priority of mine to make sure that continues, that we don't get off track at all, because we've come quite close to building a community center, only to have it be it be derailed by different things, and so that has been so fun. It's so fun to say, what do we want? What do we need here? And then that's going to transition into from city offices to community center library.
That's very cool.
And that's going to necessarily involve a lot of community input. And
Sure.
So those two things have really taken priority. There's some ordinances that we've needed to clean up and that we've been working on. But really those two things, communication and then the city center, have been at the forefront.
That is, North Logan, to my knowledge at least, has avoided some of the unfortunate controversy that some other cities are embroiled in right now in Cache Valley and throughout Utah when it comes to housing in general. North Logan, you come into North Logan, and North Logan is already quite mixed, right? Is that a fair understanding?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're by all the metrics that the state gives us as far as affordable housing is concerned, North Logan's ahead of the game. We try to have a diversity of housing types, a diversity of zoning, but that's always going to be an issue, and there's always going to be heartbreak when a farmer decides to sell their
Sure.
pasture and make a development there. And so that's been a tricky part. We've had a lot of, just some intense city council meetings.
I'll bet.
There have been two, and there have been, some difficult issues that we're encountering as a city council. I think those ultimately I think that's a good sign. I really do. I think it's good that we're grappling with some of these things, just facing them head on.
Sure.
And I think corresponding with saying, we want public input. We want to make sure that, that we're making decisions in the broad daylight,
Sure.
So to speak. But yeah, I think North Logan in the past has done a really good job of making sure that we have an array of housing options for people who want to live here.
Well, and I think, you're reaping some of the benefits of that as well. I'm sure revenue-wise, but I think also in the community itself, it brings, you mentioned, the new center for the city and a place for people to meet and do the business of the city. You mentioned also, I mentioned the roads. I love those little bypasses of Main Street. That's so great. But the RSL Center, the ice arena, all of that. But, over on the eastern portion, you also have, I actually talked with a student. It was a leader of a student group who's going to be joining us here on the show next month. And she told me that North Logan is the place for students to look for housing when they're coming for school, because it's newer. All the housing's newer there, but I'd never thought about this compared to commutes from anywhere else in the valley. That's a pretty slick commute.
Oh, right.
From North
We have
Logan
several
to
arteries that feed right to Utah State, and in fact,
sure.
we have a lot of professors who live in North Logan.
I hadn't thought of it before, but to me that says the city's well positioned as far as meeting the challenges of the future.
I think so. I think we lucked out, so to speak, in terms of where we are. But we just have a lot of great assets that we're the beneficiaries of what decisions that were made, even a century ago. Or nearly a century ago. But yeah, we're so close to Utah State. We have a good portion of Main Street that runs through our city, and then we just have some facilities that, again, I can't claim any credit for them, but they draw a lot of people in.
Sure, a lot of activities that do as well. NorthLoganCity.org, by the way, there's an events calendar. You can see a lot of that. If you have a comment or a question, of course, you can join us 753-5868. And Mayor, you mentioned briefly there, and I feel this a lot. I'm a bit nostalgic about places I used to ride my bike that are now subdivisions or townhomes and things like that. And I'm realistic. I know it's going to happen unless we want to start saying, okay, you're 18, get out of the valley. We've got to face this because most of our growth is coming from, internal sources. But there is still, this desire, both in city leadership, but obviously among residents of any city in the valley, to preserve what we can, open space, but also some of the things that you always hear this phrase: what makes our city our city.
Mm-hmm.
So in North Logan, as an outsider, speaking as an outsider, one of the things that I've always thought made North Logan is you've got these sort of broad expanses. You've got these open areas, but then also you're not far from a really vibrant business district. I mean, you don't have to leave North Logan these days to get anything.
Right.
Which wasn't the case even 10 years ago. How do you balance all of that? Because obviously you can't just say, all right, no more development.
Mm-hmm. I think that is the $1 million question. I think there are several ways. One, I think you can induce people not to cram every single house possible into a small area. I think you do have to respect personal property rights. That's been an interesting, I guess, education with our citizens to say, we do have to respect both sides of that. That there are property owners' rights that we really can't impinge on. But I really think the key to it, I mean, it's $1 million question, but I think the real key to it is just planning and saying, here's where we want to preserve open space. And like I said, I think that people before me have done a very great job of preserving parkland. And, we have so much parkland per capita, the most in the entire state. So I think we're on the right track. But I think just continuing with that and just being very deliberate in how we zone and how we, make those decisions going forward.
That would be, I know recently some kind of master plan surveying was done. I don't remember how recently, but do you have plans to do something like that again, to say to the residents of North Logan, all right, where are you at? How much open space do you want? How much new housing do you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Utah State, we've partnered with Utah State in the past to do some surveys. Actually, I just got an email yesterday about doing a 2022 version, and I think that's going to be our plan, is to do that once again in 2022. We're going to ask everyone to just fill it out, because the more responses, the better. But and also including in that survey some really specific North Logan issues. I know that in years past there have been some things that aren't really applicable. It's a survey that everyone in all the participating cities are across the state. But yeah, that is a big part, is getting some of that community input.
That would be, and again, as you said, as mayor, obviously everyone understands the mayor. You don't get to just say this is happening, and you work with a council, you work with the residents of the city, but you do get a bit of a bully pulpit. You can go out to the public and you can influence agendas and all of that. Do you, outside of increasing, making things more accessible and transparent, the surveying that you're doing, do you have any plans specifically as far as events with the public or things that you would like to tell people now to put on their calendar to get out to?
Well, there is going to be a lot of opportunity, and specifically with that city center that we're going to have, and the library, that we're going to need a lot of public input. So that is going to look for that May, June, July, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But yeah, that is the component of that long-term growth plan that involves city input. That I anticipate that being a portion of how we make those plans, because I don't believe that the City Council and the Planning Commission have the monopoly on good opinions on that. But yeah, that's going to have to come in the future. But yeah, we're going to have some meetings, and we will be inviting the public to those. And I would love to use surveys. I would love to use social media to really just get some good input from our citizens.
It's an important time, and for everyone out there, regardless of the city you're in, if you see these invitations, I really can't, a lifer here in the Valley, other than some time away for school and things like that, I can't think of another time in Cache Valley's history that it is more important for everyone to get their opinion out there, because there's so much about to change, so much already changing, and a lot coming down the pike as well that we haven't even really faced yet. So whether you're in North Logan or otherwise, I love hearing this, that you'll be doing surveying, that you'll be reaching out. For listeners, speaking of reaching out, phone lines are open, 753-5868. If you have a question or a comment for North Logan City Mayor Lyndsay Peterson, our guest here in the studio, we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
The next Wild Women's Clinic at Beaver Mountain will be held Wednesday, February 16th. The cost is $55 and includes lunch and a 2-hour ski or snowboard lesson. Space is limited, so you need to be registered by Monday, February 14th online at the Logan office or at the Mountain Snow Sports School. Get more information at skithebeeve.com. Don't miss the next Wild Women's Clinic, Wednesday, February 16th. Come on up and ski the Beeve.
Express your love for her this Valentine's Day by presenting a piece of diamond jewelry from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Diamond jewelry makes a woman feel cherished. A pair of beautiful diamond earrings will add to the sparkle in her eyes. Adorned in diamond earrings, she will feel elegant and appreciated. Choose from a large selection of quality diamond earrings, all specially priced for Valentine's Day. Remember, diamonds from S.E. Needham's will be noticed from across the room, and everyone will know she's yours. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is Polka. And this is Polka Boosted. Boosted is better. And when it comes to protecting yourself and those around you from COVID-19 and all its variants, it's no different. So if you've been fully vaccinated, don't wait to get boosted. Visit coronavirus.utah.gov today to schedule your booster.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News, tracking the latest developments in Eastern Europe as the U.S. pays attention to Russia's ongoing intimidation of Ukraine. Also, residents on the Atlantic coast keeping an eye on a weekend nor'easter, plus the cabinet secretary accused of being absent, how Americans got addicted to working so long, and former NFL player Mike Golick on the overtime rule. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Wrapping up the hour here with our guest in the studio, North Logan City Mayor Lyndsay Peterson. I should mention this as well for listeners out there, since we're talking about transparency, access, and getting involved in city planning in North Logan. All the contact information for everyone at North Logan City Council members, the mayor herself, the city offices in general, calendars, timelines for zoning and planning meetings, all of that at northlogancity.org. Probably one of the most robust websites, I think, of a city out there as far as the information that you can find there. So take advantage of it if you live in North Logan City. northlogancity.org. And Mayor Peterson, again, really appreciate taking a full hour of your week to join us here today. Any final thoughts for North Logan residents out there? Things they can look forward to, get excited about, be concerned about? If you want to scare everyone, feel free.
I won't scare anyone, but one thing that we were discussing during the break is that really the best way to make your opinion heard is to get involved, serve on committees, show up to meetings so that you know what's happening, so that you understand the information that we're all basing our decisions on.
That's very cool.
We have really... the best citizens in the valley. We just have some really impressive people. That's been something that I've noticed over and over as I interact with our citizens, and we want them to be involved. As always, our Parks and Rec are killing it. We have all of those events, those signups coming up, and I've heard from friends that even if you make it within the sign-up deadline, it doesn't necessarily mean there will be a spot because it's such a popular recreation program. So get in there early. Library's always doing a great job with that. We have some Miss North Logan honeybee pageants coming up in March. A health fair. Anyway, go on the website. The newsletter is about to come out to the citizens. We're trying to do a better job of doing both a print and an online version. So yeah, just look in there. We have so much going on.
We actually, months and months ago, we did a full spotlight segment on the city newsletter in North Logan because it's just so... I just love how it's put together. There's a lot in it, and it's it's the opposite of phoned in, which you see a lot, unfortunately, from city communications. But there's just a lot of good things to say about North Logan, especially on the communication front. We do have one last question coming in from a listener here, and I'm not sure what the question is. It says dog parks ? And I'm not, as a not a resident, is there a current discussion over that or debate over that? Or
there isn't.
Okay.
That is something that I heard when I was running for office, and it's certainly something that we would consider.
Okay. But nothing immediate on the
it's
calendar.
Not something that we're currently discussing.
That's
just because we have a lot of things we're discussing.
Yeah, it is.
But that is something that I've kept in mind. As we're thinking about things that we need to do.
This is northlogancity.org. Again, there is a feedback link there as well along those lines. So for that listener, if you have a specific suggestion, send it to them that way. This is, as you move into legislative session, will wrap up. Cities will find out then, what they might be looking at as far as state and even federal grants for infrastructure projects and things like that. But UDOT's all in the mix here as well. And like Logan City, you there in North Logan, you have to talk with UDOT about that stretch, right? As they're doing, I don't remember if they're in the middle of surveying or there's something going on where they're looking at Main Street, Logan, and does that include that stretch? And okay, so you may be affected by that as well.
Yeah,
whatever they decide to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are in kind of partnership with Logan City on that. And that's going to, it's going to impact, speed limits, and we will hopefully be part of that solution.
Can I entice you to get on the physical medium bandwagon with me?
Oh, yeah.
I'm convinced that would fix half of... I'm proselytizing here. Okay. Thank you again for your time. I know taking an hour out of your day is a big thing, especially as we've just discussed all the things going on in North Logan City, but we appreciate it, and we look forward to checking in with you again next month.
Oh, it's a pleasure every time. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is ours. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Please do so again tomorrow. We'll have Andy Morgan here for the For the People movie show and a full week of the legislature to recap. So a busy day on the show tomorrow. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
The newsmakers, the stories.
This is a situation that is rapidly spinning out of control.
Get it all here. News Talk KVNU Logan, 610 AM and 102.